Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back.
With its class-leading battery size, serious cooling hardware, and performance strong enough to run local PC games, the Red Magic 11 Air positions itself as a slim gaming flagship with no real rivals. Today, we're zeroing in on performance and thermal control, so let's jump straight in. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from techmaiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. This phone is actually very straightforward once you get your hands on it. When it comes to build quality, overall design, and feature set, the 11 Air carries over nearly all the core strengths of the Pro lineup. The difference is in the feel. Officially, it weighs just 207 grams, and at its thinnest point, it measures only 7.85 millimeters. If not for the slightly raised camera, it honestly feels closer to a mid-range device in the hand. And that explains why the Air model only received a fan after the Pro series had already introduced liquid cooling. Now, about that built-in fan, it's genuinely impressive. If you've followed phones like this before, you know how tricky it is to integrate one. Usually, you either need a much thicker body or you end up placing the fan externally because of a massive camera module. But with the Red Magic 11 Air, the weight barely changes, and visually it actually looks thinner than before. Even while keeping the shoulder triggers, packing in a 7,000 mAh battery, and using a full transparent design, it still manages to include an aviation-grade heatsink and create a complete horizontal cooling channel. With such a short airflow path, this is easily one of the most cleverly designed built-in active cooling systems on the market right now. Whether this setup sacrifices anything compared to a full through-flow design is something we'll dig into later through real testing. As for looks, they speak for themselves. From the front to the sides and around the back, the phone perfectly carries over the clean lines and refined finish of the Pro series. Personally, the standout detail for me is the glass back panel, which has a design that reminds me of the Allegiant. It makes the phone appear thicker in a good way, leaves plenty of room to showcase the transparent internals, and still feels solid in the hand. Overall, it's a very sensible and well-balanced design. What do you think about it? Drop your score in the comments and let's talk about it. We also made some changes to how we run our stress tests. For a long time, we relied on 3D Mark because it's compatible with most devices and the results are easy to understand. But realistically, it mainly pushes the GPU and doesn't fully represent scenarios where both the CPU and GPU are under heavy load at the same time. On top of that, just like AN2, system whitelists are constantly being updated, which makes score manipulation easier. So we decided to switch back to a more realistic dual stress test. Because this type of testing is more intense and straightforward, and to avoid common failure issues, we limited it to 10 minutes while keeping the ambient temperature at 25 degrees Celsius with slow cooling. Internal temperature readings are still taken directly from the GPU, which is exposed on most devices. As for Red Magic, you already know the story. Even when it was marketed as a slim and lightweight Air model without a fan, it still pushed performance aggressively. Now that this version actually includes a fan, the results are no surprise. Average power consumption came in at 13.6 watts with an average frame rate of 3.9 frames per second. Even though there was a noticeable adjustment near the end of the run, it still averaged 15.1 watts overall. 8 minutes of sustained extreme load like this is more than enough to outperform 99% of phones on the market, including those powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite 5th generation. Short bursts are basically effortless. In terms of frame rate performance, it's at least 30 to 40% ahead of performance-leaning phones like the K90 Pro Max or OnePlus 15, and roughly 60% faster than traditional flagships such as the Xiaomi 17 Pro. To put it simply, most phones mainly create a strong impression through tuning and presentation. With Red Magic, you can think of that sensor behavior as a warm-up phase. Its approach of prioritizing raw performance over conservative safety limits has always been consistent. This part of the test is an extreme stress scenario, so there's no need to worry too much about temperatures here. You won't encounter anything like this in daily use. Just focus on the coefficient values. The lower they are, the better the cooling performance. At this stage, the Red Magic sensor is already operating at its peak, so even with strong heat dissipation, other temperature readings will naturally be high. K90 Pro Max and OnePlus 15 show nearly identical cooling performance, with differences mainly coming from tuning preferences. One leans more towards CPU output, while the other balances CPU and GPU more evenly. This also highlights how Redmi and Xiaomi devices share essentially the same tuning, with almost identical thermal behavior. The Xiaomi 17 Pro, however, is more focused on long-term stability, and its cooling limitations slightly restrict output. You can see this reflected in the battery temperature, which is about 3 degrees Celsius lower than the K90 Pro Max. At an ambient temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, running Honor of Kings at maximum graphics in a 10v10 match at 144 frames per second, we also adjusted how the data is presented. Let me quickly explain how to read it. Frame rate curve is now shown in a 3D format, with certain data points lowered to create a folded visual effect that should be easy to spot. The yellow line doesn't mean higher frame rates, it's simply positioned on the inside, giving you a top-down perspective. Any readings that exceed the actual cap, like 145 or 146 frames, are still displayed on the curve but ignored in the final calculation and treated as 144. The final score combines all frame rate related data, ensuring smooth transitions while keeping the curve clean and readable. In simple terms, the higher the score, the smoother the experience. The theoretical maximum is 100, and while you'll never truly reach it in real-world use, you can get very close. As a general rule, every 10 points represents a performance tier. Scores above 80 are excellent, and anything above 90 is truly top tier. Alright, let's use Red Magic Mode 1 and Mode 2 as our starting point. In Awakening mode, the phone averages just over 4 watts overall, with the built-in fan drawing about 0.15 watts on its own. Whether the fan is switched on or off, the device is basically running at near full frame rate. Even the 1% lows stay almost maxed out, and at 0.1% low, it still holds above 120 frames per second. A score of 93 here is unquestionably top tier. Now, since today we're only focusing on this one phone, it might be hard to fully appreciate how strong that result is. Under identical conditions, even the newest flagship phones, especially those with slightly conservative graphics tuning, usually land somewhere around 70 to 80 points. Once you test more devices, the gap becomes very clear. When it comes to temperatures, despite using an ultra-short airflow path for the built-in fan this time, the cooling performance doesn't feel noticeably weaker than what we've seen on the Pro series. At the highest fan speed, surface temperature dropped by about 1.3 degrees Celsius on Zhoushan, while internal temperature fell by roughly 1 degree. Moving on to Genshin Impact at maximum settings, the original route was running a bit hot, so I switched to an underwater map. The key difference is that these older maps more sustained and demanding load on the system. I won't dive into all the minor details here. Frame rate performance is fairly straightforward. With an average power draw of 4.6 watts, the game settles at 60 frames per second. At 1% low, it's still nearly full frame rate, and at 0.1% low, it stays above 50 FPS. Overall, the smoothness is comparable to playing Honor of Kings. In terms of temperature, the built-in fan actually performs better here than in Honor of Kings, reducing both surface and internal temperatures by around 2 degrees Celsius. At maximum graphics, Star Rail remains the most extreme test right now. There's basically no harsher visual load than this combination, so we let it run continuously. 7.5 watts with the fan off and 7.8 watts with the fan on. Throughout the test, there was no frequency locking or frame rate throttling. Average frame rate stayed full, with about 50 FPS at 1% low and 26 FPS at 0.1% low. Overall, I'd give this scenario a solid 80 points. Some people might think, only 80? But that's missing the point. This is still elite level performance. Under the same conditions, even a Snapdragon 8 Elite 5th generation scoring between 40 and 60 points is already considered good, and anything around 70 is more than enough to dominate. As for temperatures, the results are very stable given how demanding this setup is. It's essentially a stress test. The presence of the small fan is reassuring here, lowering Zhoushan's temperature by about 1.7 degrees Celsius and internal temperature by roughly 1 degree. Overall, at an ambient temperature of 30 degrees Celsius, using the 3 games we've discussed as examples, the phone maintains a stable pre-fan speed level of 4.0 at around 24,000 RPM. On the 11 Air, even without a full through-flow air duct, the ultra-short airflow path supported by the bracket can, on average, reduce Zhoushan's temperature by at least 1.6 degrees Celsius and internal temperature by about 1.3 degrees. In real-world use, the cooling effectiveness isn't noticeably compromised. That said, if we want to be extremely precise, there's still room to improve heat transfer efficiency within the bracket itself. For instance, in Honor of Kings, the fan area can reach 36 degrees Celsius, but the temperature difference between it and the heat source on the right increases from 4 degrees to 9 degrees. Roughly speaking, that works out to an equivalent thermal resistance of about 2.2 degrees per watt, which is fairly consistent. Applying the same logic to Genshin Impact or Star Rail leads to similar conclusions. So going forward, expanding the airflow area, reducing thermal resistance within the channel, and moving heat to the fan zone more quickly would be the next steps. Maybe the bracket could even be redesigned as a mini vapor chamber. Could it be pushed further? Could the fan spin faster? Technically, yes, but there's really no need, especially since the ultra-short airflow has already brought noise levels way down. Personally, I think the current balance is very good. There is one important detail I want to point out though. Even though overall noise levels are low, and you might not see any obvious differences on a noise graph, there are two narrow frequency bands around 3500 and 7000 Hertz that often get averaged out during measurements. Because human hearing is more sensitive to higher frequencies, you may still perceive the fan as slightly louder than the data suggests. That's just something to keep in mind. As for game-specific assistant plugins, background services, and related features, I've already covered those before, and most of you should be familiar with them by now, so I won't go over them again. When it comes to PC emulation, this is very different from cloud gaming or streaming. Everything runs locally. PC games are executed directly through a Windows virtual machine, meaning the phone essentially has a desktop environment installed. The game I tested previously didn't perform all that well, but this time I used the officially recommended Tomb Raider 9, and the results were quite solid. Low graphics settings at 30 FPS are more than enough for a device this size, and vibration feedback is also supported. The key point is that power consumption is similar to Honor of Kings, so extended play sessions are totally feasible. If you decide to push for higher frame rates or better visuals, things change quickly. Even though there's an official 120 FPS limit, simply increasing the frame rate to 60 FPS at this visual quality already puts the load on par with Star Rail at max settings. In that case, using a backclip is highly recommended. The device also includes a very complete settings menu, covering virtual joystick buttons, graphics quality, performance monitoring, and more. You can increase resolution, adjust sharpness, apply CRT-style effects, or enable HDR without any issues. Battery life is pretty easy to understand. The 7000 mAh battery might not seem groundbreaking compared to some current mainstream devices, but within the Air series, it's definitely special. As long as you're not constantly playing the most demanding games, it's more than enough for daily use. Charging behavior is straightforward too. After powering off, it starts charging automatically, reaching 29% in 10 minutes, 81% in about 30 minutes, and 100% in 54 minutes, at which point the usable capacity is around 6,700 milliamp hours. A full charge completes in roughly 65 minutes. Pairing a 7,000 milliamp hour battery with 120 watt fast charging is genuinely impressive, even if the charging strategy is more conservative than before. Peak power during the initial phase hits 70.8 watts, with an average of 32.8 watts. All things considered, I think the Red Magic 11 Air is extremely impressive. At this point, when performance, cooling, and features are already bordering on overkill, what really decides whether a phone is worth holding onto long term isn't raw power anymore. It's how well that power is balanced. And that's exactly where the Red Magic 11 Air shines. Despite its thinner and lighter design, it hasn't made any obvious compromises. Instead, it proves that extreme performance can exist in a surprisingly light and agile form. So if you ask me what truly stands out about this device, it's not any single number, whether that's temperature, frame rate, battery size, or fan speed. It's the fact that all of these heavyweight features come together in a design that still feels effortless and elegant. Honestly, I can't even imagine what this thing would be like if it ever became a dual screen device. But that's a thought for another day. Let me know what you think about the Red Magic 11 Air's performance in the comments below. That's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.